How are we doing?
Doing
Hello.
great.
Good to see you all. Thanks for being here. Anyone else have a question they want to bring to our time hacker experts? It could be anything around time, anything around hustle, anything around holidays, anything around decisions, anything around failure. Yes, Veronica. Is it Veronica or Veronica? Yeah, maybe I can help you. Does that help? Okay, so if you hover over the bottom of the left screen, there should be like a little microphone that says mute. There you go.
Okay, hopefully, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good stuff. Sorry, clearly Zoom 3 years into this world we live in, it's too difficult to operate for me still. Thank you so much. I would just manage to finish. That's my last call for work, so I jumped on the call. And thank you so much for this space and the community, because I've been enjoying it massively and I've learned so much already. It has been an incredible journey. I think what the question I wanted to bring to the all the lovely and smart people on the call is, I have been trying to be a bit more intentional with how much time I spend on things. Basically, it's just like, that 80-20 almost, as opposed to trying to go for a, perfect kind of every single time. Like, I don't know. I think something I struggle a lot with, I run a lot of workshops at work, and I kind of have a mental model of how I would like to have, like, the actions and the kind of the notes, the key takeaways written up afterwards. And I just say to myself, okay, this time I'll just, you know what, I have half an hour for this now. I'll just do it. Then that's it. Yeah. And I'll send it whatever shape it is. And half an hour in, still haven't, still like 3/4 in, and I'm just, continuing as normal. So any thoughts on that would be helpful.
Yeah. Yes, Madeline.
Yeah, so this is definitely something that I struggle with, spending more time on things than I would like them to take or that I plan for them. And one of the things that has really helped is to be more realistic or be more generous in the time that I am allotting for it, as opposed to like beating myself up that like I blocked off half an hour and at the end of half an hour I don't feel remotely ready. Like to be like, oh, actually, based on past experience, I think I actually need like 3 hours to do this thing. And or whatever it is for you. But that if I start with like giving myself like a more generous amount of time and get it done that way, in the end there's a better result than trying to like squeeze it into this concept of this should just take less time, or like being a time hacker, I should spend less time on that. Like that doesn't really work for me, because it leads to like so much self-criticism. And so that's the way that I have gotten like moved forward with it and been so much kinder to myself, which creates more motivation to actually get things done.
Yes. Deadlines are a tool for us. We are not a tool for them. It's such a beautiful example, Madeline. And I even think it applies, I would apply all of that to like goals as well. Same.
Yeah, well, I was thinking of the coaching you just gave me recently, which was, are you an employee of the goal? And I was like, oh, yes. Let's change that.
Yeah, so good. Thank you. Başak, I had you, and then Zil will come to you.
Yeah, I mean, I was laughing so hard because this is still one of the things that I think so challenging for me. Just like 3 days ago, I was journaling and I said, like, I want to be a little bit more careful with that, because I also tend to give myself like 1 hour for a task I want to do. And if it doesn't get done, I still so often just make it mean like I should have planned better. I know better. I should have hacked it somehow. And I think what has been working for me is either asking myself, like, first of all, do I really need to do this? Like, does it bring value? Because I realize I do so many things just for the sake of working, being productive. And so many things in the last month, I've been kind of saying, like, I actually don't need to do this. I can ask somebody, or just it doesn't need to get done at all. has been a time-saving hack for me. I think
Mm.
like crazy. And then I'm still working on this one, but it's getting easier and better every day. Is that if I set like a generous amount of time, let's say it's 2 hours for this thing, and it really I did not finish it like 100%, but I'm just gonna still send it and like, this is it, this is done. And I'm still fighting with that, but like when I do it, it works really well.
So good. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like training your brain to honor the times that you have and not just being all, it's, you know, it's like sitting in the consequence, isn't it? Not just being all willing to always add time and balancing that with, like, I think what we want to remember with any decision is we're making the decision to gather data. So the decision of like, this is going to take 30 minutes, the data we might gather is that this isn't going to take 30 minutes, or the data that we might gather, like Başak said, is this can take 30 minutes, but only if I remove these 3 elements. So do I want to remove those 3 elements? So such great stuff. Zil, you are up.
Yes, that what you ladies said was amazing coaching on the action line, right? What to do. But here's what I'm wondering and curious about. So I put your, story in the model here. Your circumstance is the task you have to do after the workshop. There is a thought, and the thought is, this time I'll do it faster. And my question to you is, how do you feel when you think that thought? Because the result that thought is creating is it's taking longer. So how do you feel when you think this time you'll be quicker?
Pressured, quite honestly.
Pressured. Okay.
Yeah.
So here, Veronica, I want to show you, shed some light on this. When we feel pressured, what do you think is going to happen with the task?
It's going to create friction for me to actually complete it, right? And and I think in the end, I think when I'm in the kind of flow of doing it, I don't mind, and I almost like take joy in doing that to a certain level. I think it's just I'm at the, in the back of my head, I still like kind of, oh my gosh, I should have been able to do this, in that half an hour, because it's ridiculous to take an hour to write up stupid points after workshop or whatever else. It's just like, is this the best of use of my time? That's kind of the thought process behind all of it.
Yes. So listen to what you just said, right? Even when you are in flow, even when your brain wants to get in flow, you are in a lot of judgment. It should, this is stupid, or it should have been faster, or it's still taking an hour. So that's a lot of judgment. And that judgment brings the resistance to you that will create the friction. And then instead of flow, it's, resistance, and then it takes longer.
Thank you.
So, yeah. What would be like for you to drop the judgment and to just observe those thoughts as they show in your brain while you're doing the task? What would that look like for you?
Yeah, even what Madeline said around, you could just be more generous and allocate more time to it. I had that like, oh, I could do that. I could. It feels so much lighter, right? To just admit to myself that it's important to me, and maybe it is okay to take longer to do it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. How does that make you feel when you're like, yes, I'm doing this and it's okay, it takes longer? What's the feeling?
Oh yes, it's almost like the kind of the weight has shifted from like here inside the body.
Yeah. And what do you think is gonna happen over time once you let it be and just let your hair down and I'm taking as long as it takes? What do you think happens over time?
hopefully, I will be able to take also the other two questions from Vicky and Başak around, do I really need to do this? Or, like, are there certain things I can just skip maybe to get it down to how long I've kind of planned for. Yeah, and hopefully, through doing it with less friction and just focusing on the flow, I can also complete it, in one chunk and get it done and over with.
Yeah. So my experience with writing emails to my list or to my clients was that it took so long at first, and I didn't want to do it. I was like, this is so dumb. This is so stupid. I don't want to be, here for an hour and a half to write one email. And it wasn't until I'm like, it's going to take however long it's going to take, and let's celebrate you. Let's celebrate you, Zil, sitting down and writing, right? And that process of celebrating myself and allowing it to take as long as it was going to take led me to today being able to write an email in 10 minutes if I want to, 20,
wow.
Right? Dropping from like 90 plus minutes
wow.
to, I can really write quickly now. But the process of watching the thoughts, allowing myself to be in flow, dropping judgment, and doing it, right? That's what took me to now having the result of it taking less time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's so fun to see that the brain thinks saying something like, I have to do this faster, is in service of you doing it faster. And it thinks like, I'm going to let this take as long as it wants, is going to slow you down. And that example for all of us, whatever circumstance, whatever situation we're thinking about, whenever we say, I have to do this faster, it's like diving into that quicksand and being like, I'm choosing this. So that's the power. Thank you for everyone of coaching and owning, like exactly like the balance there. We speak about it in Time Hackers, the bicycle of like dealing with what's going on with the brain and dealing with like the actions that we're going to take and moving both of them to get us out of the quicksand fastest. So thank you so much, Veronica, for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I have realized the time, so if anyone needs to leave, then feel free to, but I would like to take an extra 10 minutes and just have everyone maybe share, let's think. I would love for you to share what you would say to the version of you, like for anyone watching who's thinking like, I'm interested in Time Hackers, or I'm interested in getting coached from a Time Hacker coach. But I'm going to start with Madeline here, because this is where she was 2 years ago in Hustle Free. She joined Hustle Free. We offered consult calls, which we're offering again this year, so you can get on and speak with us about doing the work together. And then you decided, I'm going to wait. Like, I'm going to do it, but I'm definitely going to do it soon. So what would you say now to that version of yourself?
Yeah, well, I decided I definitely wanted to do it. I saw the value. Felt like it was going to help me solve the problem that I had, but I didn't want to make the investment at that moment. Like, I was just like, I cannot make this investment in December. And it was something that Vicky coached me on in the consult call. And I'm so grateful for that, because, she told me like, there's never going to be a better time where it feels more comfortable. But I still, I stuck with my decision. But what I did is I put a date on the calendar for, I think it was the first week of January, but I put a date on my calendar, like join Time Hackers. And then that date came up and I was like, oh, I still don't want to spend the money. and it still felt really uncomfortable, but I had committed to doing it. And so instead of negotiating on, do I really need this? Like, maybe I should wait longer. I remembered the coaching that Vicky had given me. And I was just like, oh, right. It's not going to get more comfortable by waiting. And so I joined that day. And so, I think when I have compassion for myself back then, for thinking like it'll be easier to do it in, 3 weeks or, however many weeks it was from then. And today I know, like, the decision doesn't get easier with time. Like, you can always talk yourself into or out of a decision. That this was like my favorite way to waste time, is to like flip-flop on decisions and argue the, you know, like the pros and cons or the like benefits of each side. And so one of the things that really has changed is my capacity to just feel uncomfortable and make the decision anyway.
Yes, it's funny because we've spoken about discomfort around rest and discomfort around space, and it's like, I think it ties into the same thing where we're making decisions to support ourselves or help ourselves, and we expect it to feel amazing straight away, and when it doesn't, we're like, oh, like I still want to avoid it even if I want it. So that's a really fun share, and I just love your past self that got you here and everything that you've achieved in the last 2 years, and that now that you are on this expert panel. I think it's such a fun story.
Thanks.
Thanks, Madeline. Who wants to go next and share anything?
I will.
Yes.
So I think I wrote in, but I got an email back saying, just a thought, what is going to make the time right? And it was a really good question for me, because I realized that, well, there's going to feel no right time, because the level of discomfort for me to invest in myself without knowing what the outcome was going to be, and without knowing 100% what I was entering, but it felt so good in my experience. That gap, that bit that was missing for me, that self-trust, really, which is what it was all about, was really, really challenging. And so when I asked myself, well, there's never, what would make it a right time? I concluded that there isn't such a thing. It just simply doesn't exist for me. And it was going to be a choice about whether I was going to allow myself to invest in myself. It was then so simple. I just did it. And the discomfort was temporary, because the discomfort lasted for as long as I chose that I was going to stay not doing it, because I already wanted to do it. I'd already made the decision, and I was just beating myself up about it, really, just by saying, oh, I'm going to leave it a bit longer. Anyway, yeah, it was very, very helpful to ask myself the question, when will there be a right time? Because I just don't know. For me, it's about self-trust and going the whole way. So that's what I say to myself. If I was back there, I'd go, just, go for it. Trust yourself. It's actually quite simple.
Yeah. And I love that question because it applies to everything. I think this narrative that we're taught about timing and the right time, and how often are we delaying what we know we want because of this, like, supposedly, it's another way of perfectionism. The right time is just perfectionism in fancy dress.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Mary. Anyone else want to share? Yeah.
I will. Oh, sorry, Zil.
It's okay, Zil.
So yeah, I think the thing that delayed me from joining was very much thinking that I didn't have the time. So that's what I would address, is that I'll do this when I get to this point and I have more time. And I think that was very much tied in with my thinking that it would be not necessarily hard, but it would be work, that it would be, I'd need to like create time to do the work. And I think what I would go back and say is that well, the fact that you think that you don't have time is the reason to do it now, but also that it doesn't take time, and that actually that it's easy. That I think that's the thing that I just think is so valuable, that the program and the modules are so bite-sized, and they're so immediately impactful and so easy to implement. And especially the first one that is about like how to get the most out of the program, and that's just been so impactful for me, and I've applied that to so many other things. Just that alone is so valuable. And I think I would go back and tell myself that it doesn't take time. Now is the time to do it, and actually it will be easy, it will be fun, and it will be supportive. So yeah.
I love that. Thank you. And I also think, like, on that point, I think a lot of programs sell themselves or sell you on the idea that you have to do everything to produce results. And that's like not what we do in this program. You don't have to do things that don't serve you. We have the different, we have the one-to-one coaching, the group coaching, the modules, the private podcast, the bonuses, the Facebook community, and it's like a pick and mix, right? You get to choose whatever suits you. The reason we have the different things, even though they're all in bite-sized form, is so that, yes, you can do them all. And also, like, I love what you shared, Sarah, about like the first module. Like, what if that is like the thing that's going to change your month the most instead of having to complete it all? So thank you for that. Such a good point. And if you don't have time, that's the reason to do it. Zil.
Yes, mine is along the line of Sarah's, which is, I would tell my past self, this is going to create more time for you, right? And time is money. So whenever there is resistance around, investing or the time it's going to take, and it's true, right? Our brain wants to protect ourselves. And there are programs out there that might not be worth your time and money. So your brain, automatically you put up those walls to protect you. So I would tell my past self, you waited too long. Like you created more time and more money. Like, if you had joined already, like before, you waited too long. I think that's what I would tell my past self.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when we make decisions, we tend to make them based off of like the information in front of us and not like the opportunity cost of like what not making that decision, the impact could be. So I love that point. So thank you. Başak?
I mean, I think what others said, like, it's one of the main things for me. It did indeed bring more money and space and everything else for me. But I would also tell myself that, like, how everything is tied to our relationship with time. It's literally everything. And life is too short to not to have time for our family, hobbies, and just enjoying our lives.
Mm. Yes, thank you. Life is too short to not have time for what we value, for what we want. I love that so much. Yeah, I mean, a big motivation for me. It's funny, I didn't realize it till later, like till after Time Hackers was created, and I really started to think about why was it was always going to be time for me, and why was that? I even bought this website years ago called like the 15-minute method or 10-minute method, where I was going to change your life 10 minutes a day. I never did anything with it. It was like in 2016, but it was funny how it was always about time. And when I was young in school, I volunteered with the elderly, and it was like going and spending so much time with people that were regretful of the way that they spent their time. It just was like, this is just not okay. And I think what we're taught by society about how to spend our time and the relationship we're taught to have with time that is so scarce and fear-based and not enough and limited, and of course drives hustle, which is what we're all here in Hustle Free Holidays to speak about. Like, this is the work, this is it. Our life is made up of time. It's our most valuable and precious resource, and no one teaches us how to heal that relationship so that we have the space and the impact that we want. So I love that. Thanks, Başak.
And I mean, adding up to that, I think it's like, I would tell myself also, it's not your fault that you're struggling with time. It's the whole construct. It's like the whole conditioning that we were conditioned, basically. And hacking time is also possible for you because you have just the human brain.
Yeah. Yes, I love that. Hacking time is possible for you because you have a human brain. So good. And I just think it's fun that you've got to meet everyone today who started, and they've so generously shared where they started, what they've learned on the journey, where they are now, what they've created. And the fun thing is for everyone that you've heard from today is like, and we're just getting started, because like, I mean, we've created a program that's lifetime access for a reason, so that we never have to like go back and forth on a decision of like, should I stay, should I go? It's like that upfront investment, that upfront decision that allows you to get support around this area. So going forward, so I love that. I also do want to, if people want, I would love to give you all the opportunity to tell people about you or how they can connect with you. Obviously, we're all in the Hustle Free Holidays Facebook group, so maybe if you've been on the panel, you can just drop in a message there and say like, hey, and maybe everyone share one big takeaway, and maybe the experts can start leading the way, and then everyone can do it, and we'll get people in the replay to do it too. But I also want to give you guys the opportunity to say a little bit about you and the work that you do, if it feels supportive for you. Yeah, anyone? Yes, Zil.
Yes, so I'm a coach. I'm a life and business coach. I help coaches and entrepreneurs to grow their businesses. And if the business is already big enough, that is time to scale, I help them to scale as well. So my work is all around mentality, mindset, and strategy. So the combination of both helps people have a more balanced life and business while they grow their businesses, put their work out there, and make more money. You can find me on Instagram at Zil Eiler Coaching. That's where I hang out on Instagram.
Yay, thank you, Zil.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Love your work. Sarah?
Thanks, Vicky. Yeah, so I'm also a coach. I'm a life coach, a general life coach. So I support people with any and all areas of their lives, and to make their whole lives better, to have a better experience and get more of what they want out of life. And apart from in the Facebook group, then you can find me on LinkedIn, which is where I hang out most. So I'm at Sarah Hall Coaching, if you want to find me there.
Yay, thank you, Sarah. Such valuable work in the world. Madeline, you're up next.
I'm a communication coach. I help people grow their confidence and their communication skills at work. And you can find me on LinkedIn or my website, madelineschwartzcoaching.com. And I shared lots of tips and tools to build your communication skills in 10 minutes a day.
Such a time hack. Mary?
Yeah, hi, I'm a coach in development. I'm just about to certify, and I am a grief and growth coach. So I'm around on Instagram under Mary Talbot Coach. You'll find me there.
Amazing. And Başak, I know. So I also know some of you also have day jobs aside from coaching. And Başak, I know that maybe you don't have your own business right now, but also if there's anything that you want to share, then go ahead.
I do actually have my side business there.
Because I thought we'd put that on hold with the job.
On hold for now.
Okay.
I think
But we'll use the platform
out there, because it's one of the things that Time Hackers open space for me.
Yeah.
Really big, because I was already coaching for women who have autoimmunity. Because I think for me, the stress around time and what is potentially the worst case scenario is one of the main factors that caused me to have a autoimmune condition myself. And being a time hacker, I actually improved my own health tremendously. So yeah, now I help women to achieve the similar things. And I have a holistic approach. And I have a PhD in women's health as well. So that's the dream that I'm building right now. So yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. Well, thank you all for your time, your most precious resource, your wisdom, your experience, your vulnerability. We appreciate every single one of you. Yes, biggest takeaway, I can be non-judgmental with myself about how much time I spend doing things, and can be generous with my time when planning my days. Yes, so good. If anyone wants to share their big takeaways in the Facebook group, I encourage our experts to pop there with their big takeaways. And just thank you all. Have a wonderful evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are. Thank you, everyone. Bye.